You are listening to a Titan Talk with Charles and Jesse, your home for everything regarding DC's TV show Titans. Gentlemen, bring it on.
Titans, go!
Titans fans, welcome back to Titan Talk, the Titans podcast. I'm Charles Skaggs. At least I'm pretty sure it's Titan Talk, the Titans podcast this time. Welcome back to, here we are. We're going to talk about another episode of Titans as we build up to the season finale. And I'm here with my favorite Titan talker, everybody's favorite Titan talker, Jesse Jackson.
I don't know. I think you might be a certain Lori's favorite Titan talker.
Well, I don't get to talk Titans as well as with my wife Lori as I do with you, Jesse, here on the podcast. So
absolutely.
So as far as Titans talking goes, I think you're my favorite Titans talker. How's that?
All right, very nice.
Right. Let's go.
So I am thrilled to be talking. We are getting close to the end of the journey. And This episode that we're discussing is, I said right before we hit record, this is the Tale of Two Cities, the best of episodes and the worst of episodes. So I am looking forward to talking to you about it.
All right. So here for episode 17 of Titan Talk, we're going to talk about Koriand'r. And not just, of course, the character, but also the episode title here, which is episode 10 of Titans' first season, the penultimate episode of Titans' first season, as it turns out, which we'll talk about here briefly. Just came out on December 14th, 2018, written by Gabrielle Stanton, who co-wrote the episode Together earlier in the season, and directed by new director Maya Vervillo, who's directed some other comic book television shows that current friend of the show, Karen Lindsay, and I talk about on the Fandom Zone podcast. But curious to, now that you're talking about your Tale of Two Cities, as you get all Charles Dickens on us, and very appropriately considering we're getting close to the holidays, but that's a different Charles Dickens tale, of course. Yes. Curious about why you feel this way. So, Jesse, before we get into our guest cast, let's get your general thoughts on this episode.
Just a very strange pacing. It feels like it, to me, very slow. Oh, a little bit of action, slow. Oh, major action, major reveal. And now then, oh, well, of course we have to have a cliffhanger.
Right.
And it was just a little frustrating. I don't know. Maybe they have built this season to be a binge season.
Right.
Maybe they have built this with the idea that
everybody will watch it all at once in one shot.
Because it is an online service that people who come in later will be able to download and watch everything. But
right.
It just, I felt it suffered from pacing to me.
Yeah. Well, I think part of the problem, and we talked about this last time, was that the momentum abruptly braked to a halt. That we had that great cliffhanger a couple episodes ago where Corey was her memories had been triggered and she her eyes started glowing and she started strangling Rachel. And then we cut away to the Hank and Dawn origin, the Hawk and Dove origin episode, Hank and Dawn. And it just, while it was great, it just completely, froze the momentum that had been building from that cliffhanger. And so that here we are 2 episodes later to find out what happens. And, it doesn't come off as powerful as I think it should have.
Well, and Charles, we don't see Hank and Dawn this episode. I mean,
No.
I just thought of that when you mentioned.
Well, we kind of do briefly because we get Raven's point of view from when she was reaching out to Hawk in the in the last episode, but not really. No.
Exactly. So why was it so important that we stop everything, go back to this,
right.
and then and without jumping ahead.
Yeah.
And then when you see the previews for next week that everyone is so happy of, you're like, how do we get from here to there?
I have a theory about that, which I will talk about later.
Okay, good. Well, I have a theory too.
Okay.
But it doesn't.
It might be the same theory. We'll find out. It
doesn't look very. It's not very seamless. Let's just put it this way.
It is very disjointed. I totally get that. Yes.
Yeah, and so I think that's why,
Yeah, and we'll dive into this a little bit. But but I totally get your point on this. Is that the flow certainly isn't there. The narrative flow, and could have been executed better. And again, we talked about again last week. We talked about this, that the Hank and Dawn episode should have really been reordered in the episode release order. It just doesn't. It could have easily been, just take out that little Raven little tease, and I think the narrative flow would have been much stronger, personally.
And as much as I like the character of Hank and Dawn, as well as Hawk and Dove,
right.
Unless something major happens next week,
right,
we could have left them
where they were.
Yeah, where they were.
And then pick up with them in season 2 is what you're saying.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, that's what I get. All right.
Okay.
So we do have a couple of new cast members. Well, at least one major new cast member this episode. First and foremost, Seamus Dever, who is finally revealed and confirmed as Trigon, which we had speculated earlier this season, and thankfully, yay, our speculation was correct on that one. He's obviously known to you, Jesse, because you were a fan of the ABC series Castle.
Yes.
Where he played
Ryan.
Yeah, Detective Kevin Ryan on that show. And he's also has a couple of other comic book connections, comic book television and comic book movie connections. He was in the movie Hollywoodland. That, if you remember, that was the Ben Affleck movie murder mystery of the murder of George Reeves, the original Superman from the 1950s series, The Adventures of Superman.
Good movie.
And great movie. I like that movie a lot. It's one of the great unsung, well, really unhyped tragic murders of the time period. A lot of people don't really consider George Reeves' death. They consider it like maybe a suicide, but it was actually a murder. And so that was a great movie. He also played a character named Don Eichmann on the FX series Legion, which I'm a huge fan of. And so that was pretty cool. And he's also on episodes of Mad Men and some other things. But pretty decent choice so far. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and I know that will be a category.
Yeah, obviously we're going to talk about Trigon later.
I'll save my thoughts to share with you on that.
Okay, great.
On this casting.
We get the return, of course, Conor Leslie as Donna Troy, who's always great on this show so far, even though she's only been in two episodes.
But the more I see her, the more I just go, gosh, this is let's
She needs to be a series regular. Let's just put it that way.
Yes, and let's, gosh darn it, let's forget getting the team together. Let's just go ahead and get them going.
Yes.
I mean,
enough. We've done enough setup. Let's get to the good stuff.
Yes.
Right? All right. We also get Rachel Nichols as Angela Azarath, and who does a very interesting heel turn this episode, which we kind of wondered might possibly happen, especially you, Jesse.
Yes.
And then we get the introduction of a character named Jeff Roop. Very briefly, he plays Rachel's neighbor, Tommy Carson, or at least the someone she knew from back in the day. And he turns out
hardly knew you.
Yes, we hardly knew you because he's the expendable, as it turns out in this episode. But he's also revealed to be the sheriff, and we'll talk about him. He's been on episodes of Suits, the Ransom TV series, CSI New York, and Numbers, among others. So that's where you may have seen that guy before.
Okay.
And other stuff. All right. So breaking down our topics this week, obviously I want to talk about Koriand'r because, hey, the episode is titled Koriand'r. And then I want to talk about Dick and Donna in our second segment. And then, of course, in our third segment, we want to talk about Rachel and her father Trigon and her mom Angela. A rather interesting family affair, as Donna herself puts it. So we'll talk about that. So with that in mind, let's get into our main topics. Theme this week should be pretty obvious, especially to Jesse, being a classic rock fan. So first topic, 2,000 light years from home.
Okay.
Okay. And that, of course, is Koriand'r, a.k.a. Koriand'rs. And we finally get Corey's memories coming back. And we get some major confirmations, of course, about her background as Starfire that we know from the comics. And we get to find out, hey, she's got herself a spaceship.
Spaceship.
Big-ass spaceship. And
yes.
So, which I'm guessing will probably factor into season 2.
Yes.
That's my guess. So we'll see. But so I want to get your thoughts on Anna Diop as Koriand'r in this episode.
I liked seeing her being crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the fight between her and Donna.
Right.
And we had and I did not write the quote down, so I'm probably stealing one of your quotes. But
let's see.
When she says, who are you?
I got that one.
Okay, good. I will leave it alone. All
right.
But
she seems immediately a little threatened by Donna, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, and we get to see the lasso. And we'll talk about that when Gar is a little free. Gar is the Titans are the Beatles to Gar. Or U2 or Bruce Springsteen, the Eastern Band. Pick your, he is their boy band. He just loves them, and
it's just he's the teen geek, and he's just geeking out over this. So that's one of the things that in this segment, kind of picking up after the events of 2 episodes ago.
Yeah.
So why don't we do that? When we'll pick up, where we had the cliffhanger. Corey is strangling Rachel, and her eyes are all glowy, and apparently, as we find out from Rachel's bruises, that she was really gripping her pretty hard, and has to be fought off. And with the help of Dick and Donna, who show up just in the nick of time. So what did you think of the resolution of the cliffhanger?
I thought it was a good one. I thought her going into battle mode, her kind of
a killing machine almost.
Yeah, becoming almost, Starfire totally.
Yes.
And then kind of waking up afterwards and like, hey, what happened?
Right.
And
Like we're all cool, right? Yeah, she doesn't. Yeah. She acts like nothing happened, and everybody's just kind of freaked out, especially Rachel, who's really freaked by her.
Yeah, and often Charles, that can come across kind of cheesy.
Right.
But I think she sold it. She really did sell, like, what?
Yeah.
I didn't remember anything at all. So I really liked it. The spaceship looked cool.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for a spaceship in a barn, like,
Yeah,
from Smallville.
this is like kind of like an abandoned factory on the outskirts of town.
Yes.
And we find out that apparently Corey's got a cloaked spaceship. So apparently she's got herself a nice little Klingon or Romulan cloaking device.
Yes.
And to use a little Star Trek reference.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was cool too. So while we're on the subject of the spaceship, all right. So let's kind of run this down a little bit.
Sure.
So Corey, after leaving, like being all discombobulated by these flashes of memories that she's getting, she takes off in the stolen pickup truck, drives away, presumably starting to recall stuff. Dick and Donna are in pursuit, and they track her down to this, like I said, factory on the outskirts of town, and they go inside and follow her, and eventually they come across a certain spot where all three of them are scanned by this kind of purple scanning device. This purple light that kind of envelops them.
Yeah.
And then the spaceship itself kind of speaks and says Koriand'r. And Corey responds Exal, which, if you're familiar with Corey's background from the comics, from the New Teen Titans, Exal is the kind of spiritual godlike being that Corey worships on Tamaran.
Right.
And so Exal is essentially like this, in this term, a password.
Mm-hmm.
And that apparently gives her access into the ship. The ship lowers the bay, this landing bay. Corey walks inside. Dick and Donna kind of look at each other, and they're like, "Okay, I guess we're going in after her."
So, what did you
think about that whole sequence?
When you saw the it looked almost like a transporter. I figured it was some kind of scanning. I thought that looked pretty cool. The spaceship looked good.
Right.
And I liked that whole segment. I think it took a little too long to get there, and that was my complaint.
Yeah.
About and I think maybe what really dragged, and we'll talk about that later, but I think it would have been more interesting to spend a little more time with in the spaceship and with Corey and kind of learning more about it. You see the premise or the potential of these three, kind of leaders of the Titans.
Right.
And that's why I mentioned earlier, hey, I'm ready to get this thing going.
Yes.
Let's watch them work together.
Yeah. So it's like, get on with it already.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Now, obviously in this spaceship sequence, we get a lot of necessary exposition here.
Yes.
We get basically background on that Corey's whole deal with Rachel is apparently that there's, as we've surmised, that there's this prophecy, and apparently that they come across this book that's resting on this console inside the spaceship called The Death of Worlds, which is apparently filled with pictures of Tamaranians suffering and fire. And Corey's hand activates the console, which brings up this future projection of Tamaran burning. So we get to see a little hologram of Tamaran, her home planet.
Yes.
And Corey's like, well, unless Rachel dies, my world will. And we get, Dick or Corey activating the console, and she talks about that Trigon. We get the first confirmation of Trigon's name here, which was a long time coming. So they finally stopped dancing around it and named Trigon. And apparently, like there's this whole we find out that Corey now remembers that it's not Raven that really brings about the destruction, it's Trigon.
Yes.
And that apparently Earth is going to be like the first place he's going to conquer, and then he'll start working on the rest of the universe, but eventually all worlds, including her world, will burn. So what did you think of that whole revelation?
It was I was happy with it. I mean, I think they you make some decisions on how we're going to condense this story and make it TV friendly.
Right.
So I thought that was good choices. I thought the whole idea of do you stop at the cost of someone innocent to save hundreds, thousands of billions of people is always an interesting discussion, for a comic book or a movie. I really thought they executed that really well. And I think
we still had some lingering questions though. We're like,
yes,
we still don't know how the circumstances leading up to Corey landing on Earth. We still don't know why she ended up getting like this storage locker, and and how apparently Donna and the Amazons knew of her Tamaranian language from thousands of years ago, this ancient Sumerian dialect or offshoot or whatever.
Or the the whole beautiful mind wall.
Yes.
And, all the other things that
so we
really
still have some
about. Yes.
So we still have a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
But at least we were starting to get some answers here.
I agree.
And I like, and Donna was very impressed with Corey's spaceship. She's like, okay, I admit it, I'm impressed.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was good. But interestingly, for an episode named Koriand'r, we kind of it was, and maybe this is probably why this episode doesn't quite work as well as it should, is that it just cuts away like, hey, you expect, well, okay, I guess we're gonna get a big deep dive into Corey's character, and we start to, and then we slam on the brakes and cut over to the Trigon storyline.
Yes.
Because we're trying to build up right to the season finale.
Mm-hmm.
So it does seem a little abrupt.
I agree.
Yeah. But that was good. So, All right. Anything else about Corey before we move on?
Nope.
All right.
Now, I noticed someone mentioned that she got out of the horrible dress and was in her costume.
Yes.
I did not see that. I missed that somehow.
Well, what happened? That was now if you remember that we had seen like she had these flashing images of when she was first at the factory.
Okay.
She was wearing this kind of skin tight suit, kind of like a leotard type suit.
Okay.
And then in the car where she's riding in the back with Dick and Donna, she changes her clothes into that suit.
All right, I will have to go back and watch that. I missed that part.
Yeah, so it's essentially it's toward the end when she's riding, when they're going to they're racing toward Rachel or Angela's house.
Okay.
And Corey's in the back seat, and she kind of changes clothes in the back seat.
Well, as much as I've been on the record about not liking her clothes,
yes,
I apologize, listeners, that I did not catch that.
I was to say, I thought you of all people would have been zeroed right in on that one.
But in the spirit of clear disclosure, my wife and I were spending a lot of quality time yesterday, and she has been wanting me to binge The Good Fight, which is the CBS Direct sequel to The Good Wife. And at 1 a.m., Linda finally said, I guess I'm going to go to bed, or should we watch one more episode? And I said, well, I still need to watch the Titan episode, so Charles and I could talk in the morning.
So what you're saying is it was very late in the evening.
Yeah, so maybe we can get up tomorrow and watch some more. So, yes. Yeah. So so I will go back and see that.
See, I'm a bit of more of an advantage than you, because what's gotten our Friday night ritual these past weeks. Lori and I come home from work. We grab some Five Guys takeout.
Oh, nice.
And come back, have some very tasty burgers.
Yes.
And enjoy the Titans episode as we're eating our tasty burgers. So
Five Guys is a much better burger.
Yeah.
Than In-N-Out. That.
Oh yeah.
Because In-N-Out was.
I've never had In-N-Out burgers. I know we're kind of totally digressing on burger. Yes. This is now burger talk.
Yes.
But yeah, the.
Both of them came to the Dallas area.
Yeah.
And I know In-N-Out is a ritual in Vegas and California, and it's an okay burger. But Five Guys is a fantastic burger.
Well, we have a Five Guys just where we live. There's like a supermarket, and then right on the other side of the supermarket is the Five Guys. So it's just very, very close. So
that's perfect.
So we can come back and everything's all still nice and hot and fresh and.
Yeah. Nice. Okay.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Now I'm gonna have to go get Five Guys to watch the Cowboy game today.
Yeah, I definitely recommend the Five Guys and Titans. It goes great together.
Yes,
all right.
Indeed. Okay.
Free plug. I hope they send us a check for that. Yes. All right. Topic number 2. Let's spend the night together.
A little Rolling Stones.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, classic rock.
Yep.
Start me up.
Yep. Okay. So let's spend the night together, and this is a kind of a nod to this moment in the car between Dick and Donna. So I want to talk about Dick and Donna in this episode.
Okay.
Who get paired up once again because they're pursuing Corey, and some more great character moments between Dick and Donna. I never get tired of watching these two.
They are so good.
Right.
So
let's talk about Dick and Donna.
Okay.
All right. So, still picking up from the cliffhanger. We go back to the cliffhanger. When Dick and Donna show up, the big moment, of course, Dick tries to insert himself, but gets kind of smacked around because he's just mere puny human. And then Donna shows up, and if you're a Donna Troy fan, you had to be geeking out pretty hard at this because she breaks out the lasso of persuasion and uses that to take down Corey. So what did you think about that moment?
I loved it. And you knew immediately what it was. Now, they had shown a little sneak of that in the
trailer.
Preview. Yeah. But it still was great to see.
It was cool to see the full sequence.
It was. And we've already established that Donna Troy is very much a badass.
Right.
We watched her fight. We watched her do, the acrobats, how well she moves.
She leapt over a truck, and yes.
Yeah, while Dick had to do a little less. He was a little less graceful.
Grayson.
Mr. Grayson.
Yeah, Grayson's not very graceful compared to Donna, obviously.
Yeah, and so it was awesome to see her. I love the fact that there is not a hint of romance between Donna and Dick.
I hope they never change it because the whole brother-sister thing works so well for these two characters.
It's such a good thing. And even her calling her when she goes, "You slept with her, didn't you?"
And that's the moment where I got my segment title from because that's a great moment in the car. So to kind of shift gears a little bit, I know we're kind of jumping ahead again, but so they're in the car and Donna flatly calls out Dick for just sleeping around because he's coming up with all kinds of excuses for Corey's behavior. Mm-hmm. And so she just immediately clicks in on it because she knows him so well. And she's just like, "You slept with her, didn't you?"
Yeah.
And he's like, What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
which I thought was rather funny.
Yeah, it was just hilarious. And then we get a thing about you always did go for the bad girls or
The dangerous girls. Yeah.
Except Dawn, and you really messed that one up.
Yes, yeah. She says like, you really effed that one up, didn't you? Yes.
Yeah, and so that was kind of a nice thought too, that I was glad to see that we can, I'm sure we'll get into next season, hopefully,
right,
what was about that. And I don't remember Dawn and Dick having a relationship in the comics. Was there?
No, there wasn't. This is something that the Titans TV series has invented.
And I like that. I think it's a nice wrinkle.
Well, it's interesting because, for one thing, it makes sense because, hey, well, okay, Dove's a crime fighter, Robin's a crime fighter. They were working together for a while, and it created that friction between Hawk and Robin.
Yes.
Because of each other's feelings for Dawn, and of course puts kind of Dawn in the middle of that.
Absolutely.
But so I thought that was kind of a very interesting creative decision. I definitely didn't have a problem with it. I thought it kind of created some conflict and it wasn't too obtrusive, so I didn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now one of the things before back to the farm, I thought was kind of cool was this moment when Dick and Donna, Corey goes outside after the confrontation, and she's kind of flailing a little bit, and she starts taking off in the truck, and then Donna whips out this kind of star-shaped tracking device and hurls it at the truck, and attaches to the back of the truck, and then she pulls out her phone, which apparently she has an app to track the. There's always an app for that, and she tracks Corey's location on it. And Dick kind of does this little like double take, and he looks over at her like, really? And she's just like, what? You don't, you're not the only one with gadgets. So I thought that was.
Yeah, like I've got cool toys too.
Right. Yeah.
You don't get to be the only.
Yeah, it was very unexpected. And I just love the fact that well, hey, Donna can have cool stuff too, not just Dick Grayson.
Yeah. They have.
She's been at this game just as long as he has.
They have so much
chemistry.
Yes, and I love them together. Yeah.
Right. I just thought that was a great moment.
And I agree.
And it was a nice little, unexpected moment there that I really liked.
Yes.
So we talked about Dick and Donna inside Corey's spaceship, and Donna making the connection that, as we find out, she's looking through that Death of Worlds book.
Right.
And she's kind of studying the images, and she's just like, points out, well, okay, here's Trigon with Rachel, and here's Trigon with Angela, and she's just like, well, they look cozy. It's a family affair. And so Donna making that connection first, that before Mr. Dick Grayson, the master detective, that well, Angela is in on it too, presumably. So I thought that was a good moment.
Now we had made that, we had that theory fairly early.
Right.
We did not trust her. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you especially. We're kind of zeroing on like, well, maybe we shouldn't be so trusting.
Right.
And so we'll talk about that here in a minute. But anything else about Dick and Donna in this episode?
No, I think that's enough.
We had that nice confrontation, of course, between Donna and Corey.
Yes, where they kind of go, hey, who are you?
Yeah, and Donna kind of like, well, I'm the one who knocked you out, and that was pretty good. Yeah,
and when she says, want to try it again?
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
So that was good. All right. Topic number 3, sympathy for the devil.
Yep.
So of course, Rolling Stone song titles.
Yes.
Which I thought this last one especially was very fitting.
Yes, perfect.
And so this, of course, Raven and Trigon and Angela, and our little our cozy little family, as Donna puts it.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, Raven meets her dad, Trigon, for the first time, who shows up in human form as Seamus Dever, and which was of course, I'm sure a lot of disappointing to a lot of fans, but I think there was a reason for that. And we'll talk about that. And Angela, of course, does her big heel turn, killing Tommy Carson, the sheriff. So I want to get all your thoughts on all of this that happened.
So I think, first off, I approve of having Trigon look human.
Yeah.
I think that makes more sense, not only for the TV camera,
right,
the TV viewer, but story-wise. It's the same reason Lucifer, it works so well that Lucifer looks human and attractive. He is this the most beautiful of all angels.
right.
Plug for the new season of Lucifer coming up.
Yep.
I'm sure we'll be discussing.
We should really be getting some We should really be getting some kickbacks for all these the plugs that we're doing, free plugs.
Seamus is such a likable person. Ryan was
on Castle, yeah.
Yeah, he as a character, he was amazingly likable and funny. And so I think this is great casting, and I love the way he played anything for you, dear. And he's so happy.
Do you think he has the chops to pull this off? This role off?
I do think so. I think that and I think we'll have to see how they're going to do this and where they're trying to story, and that's why I'm really curious about your theory of how we're getting to Gotham and our Batman. But yes, I'm really looking forward to this.
Okay, so my take on the whole Trigon appearing as a human, so far, is that and I talked about this with my brother-in-law John Brockhouse previously, right before we started recording this podcast. So shout out to John if you're listening. Hi, John.
Hey, John.
My take on it is that the reason they did it this way is obviously primarily the budget.
Yes.
As we've kind of talked about during this course of this series, the series does not have a great, strong budget. It's definitely not Game of Thrones level. Let's just put it that way. And they obviously spent a lot of money on the spaceship in this episode.
Yes.
And the special effects involved with the decloaking and whatnot and the scanning. So it's not really surprised that, Trigon, they kind of skimped on this. Now, the reason that I think it kind of sort of works is because if you're a fan of the Wolfman and Perez New Teen Titans run, you remember that in Raven's origin story, I think it was Tales of the New Teen Titans #2, I believe, where we saw that when Trigon first met Arella, aka Angela, Raven's mom, he came to her in human form.
Yes. Because
he was trying to seduce her. And, he's obviously wanting, to procreate with her so that he could create a little demon spawn in the form of a daughter. So obviously he needs to be more appealing. He doesn't want to come off as looking like a demon. And so he comes to her in human form. And then ultimately, after he knocks her up, is when he reveals his true self and is like, oh, hey, I'm this, red demon-looking thing called Trigon. And so what I think here is that he obviously is using his influence over Angela here in the series. So he's coming to her as still in his human form. I don't think he's ever revealed his demonic form to her by the look of it.
I don't think so either. And I think
She just think, oh, he's this hot guy, and he's very charismatic and powerful.
And he has a, he's powerful. Now, I think he has shared with her that he is not up to good things,
Right.
But she is, she's understanding. It's okay. She's kind of, once again, she's gone toward the bad guy,
Right.
a bad boy. So I like that. I think it's a good decision. I was very happy with it, and I'm really thinking he's going to sell the role.
Yeah. Now, for those who are obviously disappointed that, well, hey, we didn't get Trigon in demonic form, if you paid attention during the scenes on Corey's ship when she was at the console, she kind of brings up this flickering image of the true Trigon in his demonic form. Very briefly, we got to see that. It's kind of more like a hulking creature with, horns and whatnot. So maybe at some point we'll get to see the real deal.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a good chance for that, but I mean, it's okay.
Yeah. So obviously, and they can draw this out a little bit. So
absolutely.
they've got time. But my point is that don't get immediately discouraged, like, oh, we're never going to see Trigon in demonic form. Just wait. We might.
Absolutely.
Patience. It's okay.
It is.
I know that's very hard for people these days. Patience.
Absolutely.
But try to be a little patient here, I'm guessing.
Indeed.
Now Angela, I want to talk about, because Angela, my question to you, do you think Angela was always in the tank for Trigon, or do you think that maybe returning to the house kind of, and it's kind of evil influence, because obviously something's going on with that house?
Yeah.
Do you think it kind of like swayed her when she was there? Like, it was exerting its evil influence, kind of like the way it was doing to Gar, Beast Boy, in this episode.
Yeah. I think she's always been. I mean, I think this was her plan all along.
Okay, so you think
them in the house? She knew that's where it was. The connection, in my mind, that is where there is a connection to where Trigon was being imprisoned. She knew that's where we could go. I believe that she was the long game all along. I believe she somehow poisoned Gar with the stuff from the, the vegetables.
Oh, the soup maybe, or something.
The soup, yeah, somehow. And so I think this was all a long plan, that she wanted to then get them trusting her, that she can manipulate Rachel to feel like she had no other choice but to release her father. Yeah. For people, for the right reasons.
Now, I'm still holding out a little bit of hope. I'm maybe not totally sold on it, but I'm holding out hope that it was just Trigon's influence over her.
Wow.
That
Charles being the optimistic one.
I think I'm pretty optimistic.
Okay,
by and large.
Yes.
But I'm holding out hope that maybe it was just the evil influence of Trigon. That maybe because remember, we saw her in that scene. She's going out. She was in the room with the flickering lights, and she hears the staticky noise on the phone.
Okay.
And I'm thinking that part of that was just the house working its way into her head.
Okay.
So that maybe she didn't realize, like maybe she wasn't aware that she had poisoned Gar's soup, or that she wasn't aware of the fact that in control of her body when she killed the sheriff.
Okay.
And so I'm hoping that's the case, because I want Angela Azarath from the comics was a good character. She wasn't evil. So now for the show, obviously she could be something different. But I'm holding out hope that we'll still find out that because in the comics it's important because Angela makes this big sacrifice to save Raven from Trigon in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm holding out hope that that will happen here on the show.
Okay.
We'll see. We'll see if it happens. I could be completely wrong.
I would not be disappointed if that was the case.
Right.
I don't see that right now, but it makes sense if it is. I mean, I think that's a good
because
theory.
Obviously, yeah, just you obviously want like, hey, you'd like it if like Raven had something good in her life, like both parents weren't evil. So
yeah, that would be nice.
Especially considering her dad is this ultimate demonic being. So it would be kind of nice if like, hey, her mom was actually okay, but under Trigon's control or something, so she's not responsible for those horrible things she did.
Yes.
So we'll see. But I just thought that was it.
Okay.
And then toward the end of the episode, of course, Gar is sick because of being poisoned or what have you.
Seeing visions of himself covered in blood.
Right. Yeah.
Like bleeding and everything.
Yeah, and seeing the guy that he mauled as a tiger, the asylum scientist.
Yes.
So again, I think that was the house trying to exert its evil influence over him. And that reflection with the blood in his mouth was his dark side being shown. So maybe the house is trying to control him as well. We'll find out. And I definitely I think we should keep an eye on Gar because of that. And ultimately Rachel tries to heal him, but it's not enough. And so Angela is like, well, hey, the only, if you help bring your father through, he can heal Gar.
Yeah.
So she's like, okay. And she reaches into this mirror, which it turns out to be like this portal, and apparently pulls him through because she's apparently the only one that can do that to release him from that dimension. And so he steps through in human form, and she begs him to heal Gar, which he does. He puts on a little bit of an effort, like this is a major struggle for him to do this, but he does it, and she's very grateful. She hugs him.
Yes.
And and he makes this comment like, "Well, I'm finally home."
Yes.
And like, hey, we're all just one big happy family here.
Yeah.
And so what did you think about that moment?
I thought that was really, really well done. That she's so worried about Gar.
Yeah.
And then, her mom gives that suggestion. Well, you can heal him, and she's trying, and then I know. Wow, I just thought of this.
Yeah.
Your dad's really powerful.
Yeah. And then you notice that rather sinister line that Angela gives, like, "Bring him back to me."
Yeah.
So that was very telling, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So that she's apparently just all in as far as like being enraptured by Trigon.
Yeah.
So again, is that influence, or is that she's really that evil,
I don't know.
swayed?
She sure seems to be very, very.
It could go either way.
Yes.
Yeah. So whatever way it happens, I will not be. It won't catch me off guard. Let's just put it that way.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, at the end of the episode, very end of the episode, we have Dick, Donna, and Corey showing up at the house, and it's cloaked, but they kind of notice this ripple where the house should be. So, interestingly, Dick just dives right in. He starts running right at it, passes through, and then Corey and Donna try to follow him, but get repelled by whatever's around the house. And for whatever reason, we don't know why yet, that only Dick Grayson was allowed to pass through. And last time we see him, he's at the front door. He opens the door and goes in. And that's our kind of like cliffhanger at the end of that episode.
Yeah. So the thought is, at least my theory, and this may lead into your theory.
Right.
Angela says, "Are we going to destroy the world now, or
Right.
set the world on fire?"
Eat the world.
Yeah, eat the world. That's it.
Yeah.
And he says, "Not till her heart is broken," or something along that lines.
Yeah.
So Dick has become close and important to Rachel very, very quickly.
Right.
I think because having someone in her life is, this has been, she has not had a lot of kindness and a lot of goodness, and
right.
And despite a rocky stop, he's become something very special to her.
Yeah, she sees him as her protector.
Yes. And so they're going to do something to hurt him. And that's why they're letting him in, because they need to manipulate them. They need to make him hurt.
Right.
So that and ultimately kill him. At least that's my theory.
My theory is that it's both Gar and Dick.
Okay.
So I think Trigon wants to come at Rachel from 2 points. That with Gar, I think that was the reason why we're seeing him look in the mirror and see that bloody mouthed reflection.
Okay.
That he's succumbing to the evil forces. And then what we're going to get next time is going to be, I don't think it's really going to happen. And we'll talk about that when we talk about next week's episode. But I don't think it's going to, I think it's all going to be a projection that Trigon put in Dick Grayson's head to corrupt him and make him evil. So basically it would take away all of Rachel's hope and break her.
That is my first thought as well. When I was watching the previews, I said, okay, this is in his mind, and because
it's so out there.
And even if it wasn't out there, even if they had been in Gotham this whole time.
Right.
But how do you get from Ohio or wherever they are to Gotham there's too much. I guess we could see Trigon.
A lot of hand waving.
Yeah, Trigon snap his fingers and move in there.
Right.
So yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. So what we're talking about is the trailer for next week. The Titans season 1 finale, where
hang on, Charles.
Yeah.
We've never done spoilers, and so if you're one of those people that don't watch the previews, we apologize. But Well,
the trailer is out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is kind of a spoiler, and then interestingly, they didn't tack it on to the end of this episode.
No, they did not, did they?
So they released it separately. I'm not sure why they did that,
unless
they forgot to tack it on. But it does seem kind of weird that they wouldn't give the trailer.
Well, and I think the only thing I could think maybe is they had released this separately, right? I mean, this hit the internet, much earlier. So maybe that's why they're like, it's already out here. What the heck?
Yeah. But yeah, so the trailer, of course, has apparently Batman has gone off the deep end, and he's killed Commissioner Gordon and a bunch of other criminals, and has become a major threat to Gotham City. Yeah. So basically, it's like the Injustice version of Batman. Yeah. He's gone completely off the edge, off the reservation, and so it's up to. And Jason Todd is in a wheelchair for some reason, and tells Dick that he needs to come to Gotham City to save Gotham from Batman. That's the trailer we're given.
Yeah, and there's so much that feeds into your theory, because it's very sunny and nice when Bruce comes out in the suburb-looking house on a front lawn.
You mean Jason?
Well, no, Dick's coming out to meet him in that
driveway. Right.
You know, and it's like, well, where did that come from?
Yeah, so it does seem like almost like a dream world.
Yes, it
or
does.
something. Probably something similar to Raven's powers, where she's able to enter dreams. Yes. But so what I think is, this is all just a big attempt to corrupt Dick Grayson and try to turn him into a pawn to use against Rachel.
Yes, I agree.
That's my theory. We'll see if I'm right.
Okay.
But I'm staking my claim on that. So I
think that's good.
That evil Batman, it's not going to be the real thing. It's all going to be Trigon.
Yes.
So we'll see. All right. Anything else about this episode before we move on?
I cannot think of anything.
All right. What's your favorite quotes for this episode? We talked about a bunch of them.
I did not have any ready since I watched it 1 a.m.
Yeah. All right. So I'll just run through several here.
There was not as many quips this time, at least I don't think.
No, there was a few.
Okay.
But you're actually right about that. We talked about Donna and Dick. After Donna had thrown the tracker, she said, "What? You're not the only one with cool gadgets."
Yes.
Which is a good line. The exchange between Dick and Donna in the car, where Donna's basically slut-shaming Dick Grayson.
Yes.
Where Donna says, "I'm sorry I was right about your friend wanting to kill Rachel," and Dick says, "You weren't. Corey's not a killer. She kills people sometimes, but none of this makes sense."
Yeah.
Corey loves Rachel. She's done nothing but try to help her. What you saw back there, that wasn't the real Corey. And Donna looks at him for a minute and goes, "You're sleeping with her, aren't you? You're making too many excuses for her, and you have a thing for dangerous women." Dick's like, "Dangerous women?" Donna says, "Except for Dawn. You effed that up." And Dick's like, "Can you just drive, please?"
Yeah, I loved that. That was so good.
That was a great moment. I love that. I love these two together. I could just
yes.
Dick and Donna on the road in a Jeep driving the country and wackiness ensues. It's a perfect spin-off series.
Absolutely.
Corey to Dick when Dick and Donna show up and confront her at the factory. Corey's like, "Who is she?" And Donna steps up and says, "I'm the person who knocked you out." Corey's like, "Bet you can't do it twice."
Yeah. That was really, really nice.
I'm betting she can, personally.
Yes, I can too.
And then Corey kind of giving the backstory on Trigon, on the spaceship. She says, Corey says, "This being was summoned to Earth to conceive a daughter." Dick figures it out. Rachel. Well, yeah, because who else would it be? Corey says, "Her father, Trigon. He was pulled back to his home and imprisoned. But she is the doorway that he can walk through, the anchor that will keep him here this time. Earth will be the first planet he will cover in his darkness, but eventually everything, all worlds, my world, will burn." Very ominous.
Yes, absolutely.
I like the line where Angela says after she stabs Tommy the sheriff, "I would have liked to get that drink, but I'm in a relationship."
Yes, that was well done.
That was a great.
She really sold that line well.
Yes, yeah. Rachel Nichols did a great job. That delivery was note perfect as far as. And then of course we talked about the end of the episode where Angela asked Trigon, "Is it time to eat the world?" And then Trigon says, "Of course, not until her heart breaks."
Yes.
So, all right, very ominous. All right, so what's your rating for this episode?
So, despite my concerns with it, I'm still going to go with 8 out of 10 bowls of poisoned soup.
Okay. Very nice.
Yes.
Very nice. I'm a little more generous again because we did finally get the necessary backstory with Corey. We got to see the cool spaceship. Got some great Dick and Donna chemistry and the introduction of Trigon. So I'm going to give this 8.5 lassos of persuasion.
I was going to use the golden lasso, but I said I know Charles is going to pick that.
Yep.
So good. Yeah.
Right, I appreciate you letting me have that one.
No, I mean it's like I said, we're only a half a thing off. It's been a good thing. I do feel like they could have just used a good editing when they sat down with the note cards where they're figuring out, okay, we're going to do 11 episodes. What are we going to do? And kind of look about that. But yes.
And while we're on the subject, why 11 episodes? I thought we were supposed to get 12 episodes.
I don't know.
And like, did they just forget to do one, or is the season finale double length?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or is one episode being held over for season 2?
It
feels like we're getting robbed an episode here, and I don't know why, and I haven't seen any explanation for that. So if anybody out there knows why we're only getting 11 instead of 12, please let me know, because I am dying of curiosity on that.
My hope now is that we are getting that's a 2-hour episode.
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot going on, and that would be really cool.
It would be, because you could spend like the first hour, first part, with the whole Dick Grayson thing.
Yeah.
And then the second part with the big showdown with Trigon.
Yeah, I do not think.
I don't know if that's what we're going to get, though. I mean, we're lucky if we can get the show can barely do 40 minutes, it seems. So I don't know if we're going to get a full hour.
And it would need to be the tool. I mean, if we do an hour and a half, 45 and 45, that would be good, because
I'll be happy with an hour and a half.
Why Hawk and Dove are going to come. There's a lot that could be explained in that.
Yeah, we still haven't seen. Yeah, but they still have to introduce Hawk and Dove showing up. So and Jason Todd. Remember, Rachel said, "Go get Jason Todd."
Right.
So we'll see.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
All right. But it strikes me just really weird to have an 11 episode season. That's all.
It is.
Okay.
Do we have some feedback?
We do have some feedback. I don't have any Titans Tower news. Apart from the confusion about the season episodes.
And that shocker, Batman is supposed to show up.
Yeah, that's
true.
But
we do not know who is cast as Batman.
They're keeping that under wraps, so we'll see.
Yeah, and I wonder if they're going to cheat us and just give us shadows and and not a true picture of Batman.
Well, we did see him pretty good in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember that, we got a full body shot of him in the trailer, so fingers crossed.
But did they show his face?
They showed his face. I mean, like in a mask, but they showed his face. So we'll see. Okay. I don't know how long he gets, like if he's going to be talking much, but we'll see.
We should ask.
Probably like that amount is about as much as we saw in the, if you remember the original Birds of Prey pilot.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Maybe we should see if someone can do a facial recognition scan and tell us who it is. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So let me contact my guy at the NSA, and we'll run a facial recognition program on that.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. So we do have some Titan Talk feedback. So telling into Titan Talk. We get the return of Michael Roten, and apparently it's Roten instead of Rotten. So I apologize for butchering your name. I'm guessing you probably get a lot of people butchering your name,
yes.
But he does correct me and us on that, because he says Rotten is spelled Rotan. So Roten, Michael Roten, writing in, "Hello again, Titan Talkers. Life has been busy, so I'm lagging a bit behind. I've recently watched Donna Troy and Hank and Dawn, and wanted to give my thoughts.
Nice.
I really liked the Donna Troy episode, as did we. The actress was great, as was her chemistry with Dick. I would happily watch a Donna Troy / Wonder Girl spinoff featuring either Conor Leslie or the actress who played the younger Donna. Yeah, both were good.
Absolutely.
I wasn't quite as fond of Hank and Dawn. It wasn't a bad episode. It just pulled me out of the story and spoiled the momentum a bit. Yeah, we felt that as well. Only the last 5 minutes were really relevant to the overall story arc. I really enjoyed watching the episode and have a bit more sympathy for Hank now, but on future rewatches, I could see myself skipping this episode. I wouldn't skip the episode. I think it's a great episode, but that's me.
I understand why, though, if you're trying to.
Yeah. Maybe if you want to watch it in a different order.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. Well, keep up the great work and have a great week, Michael. And then he said, of course, P.S. Rotten is Rotan. So,
okay.
Michael Roten, thank you very much for correcting us, and
yes.
We will try to do better with your name next time. But
absolutely,
thanks for understanding, Michael, and thanks again for writing in. So we definitely appreciate that. Of course, wouldn't be Titan Talk without DJ Nick. So
exactly.
DJ Nick writes in, "Hey guys, what a treat and what an episode we got this week. Love the horror elements mixed in with some sci-fi for good measure on this one. Was awesome to finally get our first glimpse of Seamus Dever as this season's big bad Trigon himself, quote, a man of wealth and taste."
So it's hard to call it the season's big bad.
Yeah.
And he only has shown up in the last episode.
Well,
I'm not.
They were building toward him. It's not like it was a surprise to us.
No, but just anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like they were building right toward Trigon.
Oh, absolutely.
We talked about that. Great job was done by all concerned, from Tegan Croft to Rachel Nichols as Angela Azarath, who showed her true colors in this episode. Oh, did she?
Yes.
And you also have to love the brother-sister bond between Brenton Thwaites and Conor Leslie, not to mention seeing the appearance of that ever-loved lasso of persuasion. Looking forward to discussing what will no doubt be an amazing season finale with you guys next week. Talk soon and all the best, DJ Nick.
Yay.
Yay. Thank you very much, DJ Nick. Always great to hear from you. And thank you, Michael, for writing in. We definitely appreciate that. So everybody, if you want to be like Michael and DJ Nick, and you want to write in, let us know what your thoughts are. You can reach us here at Titan Talk at titantalkcast@gmail.com. That's titantalkcast@gmail.com. Or you can drop us a line on Facebook at Titan Talk, the Titans Podcast, or on Twitter at Titan Talk Cast. And I want to give a special shout out on Twitter, if I find it here real quick. We got, I think we got some feedback here from Ann Deacon on Twitter, who was kind enough to write in some stuff. And so I want to give a little shout out to Ann.
Oh, nice.
So very cool to hear from you.
Do you have her tweets handy?
I do, if you want to read them.
Yes, please. Let's share them.
Okay, real quick. I was trying to hurry on because I
understand. Yes.
Okay, all right. But I did want to give a shout out. So she writes into Titan Talk on the Twitter, and she says, "Really enjoying your podcast. For what it's worth, read Donna Troy episode. I believe Donna wanted Dick to, quote, have an interaction that was not agenda-driven rather than gender-driven. Goes better with conversation instead of interrogation." So she's referring to my comment that I thought that Donna had said agenda or gender-driven, and she's correcting me that it was actually agenda-driven, which makes perfect sense, and I appreciate the correction. I just thought that personally, and I wrote back to Ann, I said, well, I just thought that Donna was just giving Dick a hard time about his sexual exploits.
Yes.
And which she does in this episode here that we just talked about. So I don't think that was out of character, but I get where you're coming from, and thank you for correcting me, because you're right. Agenda-driven does make more sense. She also says, I hope she, Donna, presumably, has a chance to do that in the funny. She was responding to my comment. I thought it was funny that she said your friend Corey every time she mentioned Starfire, like Dick made a point to say my friend Corey had this alphabet all over her storage shed.
Mm-hmm.
And then she says, I'd also like to add a quote I liked from episode 8, quote, her mom worked with my dad sometimes, so we ended up hanging out a lot. It's a throwaway line, but it made me smile. Also, Dick was completely oblivious to Paul, the guy hitting on him, trying to hit on him. So
yes.
So, Ann, thanks for chiming in. Definitely appreciate that. So, hope you're enjoying the podcast, and thanks for dropping us a line on Twitter. So,
absolutely, John. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm done.
John H. Adams on the Titan Talk, the Titans Podcast Facebook page posted, right. I am a new listener to your Titan Talk podcast. I listen to the shows while I'm at work. And then he published he recommends us, saying very knowledgeable and insightful about Titans TV show and everything DC. The host also have a complimentary show about Doctor Who. So thank you, John. We do a Doctor Who episode.
It's a podcast. Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
So Jesse, why don't you go ahead and give us some shameless plugs while we're at it?
Since I will. Yes.
On that note, and thank you again, John, for recommending us on Facebook. That's very awesome of you to do that. We obviously very unsolicited, so thank you so much for doing that.
It was really nice. Yes, Charles and I can be heard talking Doctor Who on Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast. We are just finishing up the latest series with Jodie Whittaker's first turnaround trip in the TARDIS as the Doctor.
Right.
Spoilers, we like it. And we will be talking soon about one of the classic holiday Christmas specials, A Christmas Carol. We will also be discussing the New Year's Day special. So
lots of stuff coming up.
Yeah, a lot of stuff coming up. I can be heard on Set Lusting Bruce, the Bruce Springsteen podcast, where I talk to fans from around the world of Bruce Springsteen. We might be discussing the new Netflix special that dropped at 2 a.m. this morning, which I may have, after I watched the Titans, watched 5 minutes of and said, okay, Jesse, just go to sleep. Go to sleep.
Yo, you had to pull yourself away from it.
Yeah.
I'm impressed because I didn't think you could do that.
You and Charles have to talk in the morning, and you need to be awake.
Well,
yes.
Speaking for the podcast, I appreciate you forcing yourself away and get some rest.
Absolutely. You can find me on Twitter at JesseJacksonDFW. You can find I have a Facebook page, which is Jesse Jackson if you search Louisville, Texas. And Charles, how about you? Where can they find you on social media?
Well, I'm all over social media in case you hadn't noticed. You can reach me at Charles Skaggs on the Twitter machine, at Charles Skaggs on Instagram, for all you crazy kids on the Instagram. Google Plus, for all those of you still on Google Plus, I don't know why at this point, but I'm there as well. Facebook, of course, Charles Skaggs in Hilliard, Ohio. And my blog at Geeky Things.
Damn good coffee. Hot.
Damn good coffee and hot, where I talk about all the stuff we talk about here on Titan Talk, including Titans news of Young Justice, Doom Patrol that's coming up, news of Stargirl, and there's a lot of news on Stargirl because they're casting the Justice Society as we speak.
They are really good stuff.
Very geeked about that because I'm a huge Justice Society fan. So definitely looking forward to Stargirl when it comes out. And then, all kinds of comic book sci-fi news of my other podcasts I do for Southgate Media, including the aforementioned Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast I do with Jesse and Karen Lindsay, friend of the show. And then the Phantom Zone podcast I do with Karen, where we talk about comic book shows on TV. And fingers crossed, we're going to review the Elseworlds event tonight as we record. So hopefully that comes off because we've been away a while. But we're going to review the big DC CW crossover Elseworlds. And then, of course, yes.
Spoilers was pretty cool.
Well, if anything else, it sets up the big next year's crossover, Crisis on Infinite Earths, which if you're a DC Comics fan, you have to be geeking really hard about because even though it's going to be a TV version, it's going to be a version of Crisis. And I, as a huge Crisis on Infinite Earths fan, are definitely looking forward to that. So it's going to be a long wait to 2019.
Yeah, absolutely. And
then, of course, my other podcast, last podcast, Ghost with the Twin Peaks podcast they do with Zan Sprouse, wife of comic book artist Chris Sprouse, where we talk about all things Twin Peaks, David Lynch, etc. Okay, next time on Titan Talk, we're going to talk about, of course, Dick Grayson. Not just the character, but that's the episode title. You know, we've
Once
talked
again,
about that. Once again, a little more effort, guys, than just naming it episodes after the characters. So Dick Grayson, the Titans season 1 finale, episode 11. Not sure why it's not 12, unless it's double length. Where Dick Grayson takes a dark journey back to Gotham in the finale, and as we talked about, will face off against Batman. But is he really facing off against Batman? That's the question, and I'm thinking not.
Yeah, I think so too. And so it's going to be interesting. Just so you know, this episode is going to drop the Friday before the holiday weekend. Charles and I are both figuring out when we'll be able to record. So this may be a day or two late in your feed, but we are definitely going to be talking about it and excited. And then we're going to have the postseason wrap-up with special guest star DJ Nick.
That's right. So you've heard him in all kinds of emails to the show. Now maybe you actually get to hear him as we planning our season 1 wrap-up episode. So that'll be coming up here after we talk the finale. So stay tuned. We obviously have more stuff to talk about here on Titans because lots of Titan stuff to talk about. So everybody else, thank you so much for listening to Titan Talk. We definitely appreciate it. And we will come on back for Dick Grayson, the Titan season 1 finale next week. And other than that, Jesse, anything else?
Just thank you, Charles. As always, this is a joy. Thank you, listeners. So get your popcorn ready, and we'll see Robin versus Batman.
Yep. So that could be a lot of fun. So we'll see what happens. Come on back. It's going to be good. Titan Talk, the Titans podcast. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody. Hello, Titans fans. Welcome back to Next Stop. I have to start over again.
All right, now this will be my post-credit.
Yes, I know. I know. I totally see this coming.
That's so. But you know
what? So many podcasts.
Charles, I do not know how you have not done that before. Because I'm always, I want to say, and there's my favorite Whovian. Yeah. And like, no. Titan Talker. It's just
Titan Talker. Yes.
Because right. It's both. It's just you and I. So
we started talking about Next Stop recording tomorrow night. So I got it. Unfortunately, my brain just locked into that. All right. So let's try this again.
All right. Here we go. Take 2.
Take 2.
2, 1.